Hello, everybody. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 3 of the CR Sports Podcast. And we're Garrett. We're going to be diving into the NBA offseason with free agency going on right now and the MLB state going into the All Star break, pretty much.
Yeah, we got about 1 week, a little bit less until the All-Star breaks. That's coming up. All-Star rosters, reserves were just announced today, started a couple days ago. NBA free agency really picked up as it just started a couple days ago. And the main story we've seen so far is mostly just guys re-signing with their teams, but there have been big moves as well.
A lot of surprise moves. Dylan Brooks getting $80 million going to the Houston Rockets, a guy that a lot of people have no hope for left in the NBA, especially what he did in the playoffs this year with the Grizzlies. What do you think of that transaction?
Well, Michael, the Rockets are a team who a lot thought they had a really good draft, especially picking up Asar Thompson in the first round. I think it was Asar, not a man. And then they just paid $210 million to Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, so they better hope those two work out. I don't completely agree with their moves. I think they're severely overpaid on Dylan Brooks. I don't think he's the right locker room guy, but I think they tried to go out and get two veterans to mentor them young guys. They have a lot of young talent. They finally brought in their coach for the future in Ime Udoka from the Celtics. So I think they're trying to take that next step forward, and it starts with providing the correct mentors for those young guys.
Another couple of moves that I found interesting was Obi Toppin is out of New York, but Dante DiVincenzo is in, joining his Villanova teammates Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart from those Villanova championship days, and they're trying to implement that into the New York Knicks culture right now.
Yeah, being a Warriors fan, it hurts to lose DiVincenzo. He's a great guy to have off the bench, and even at his time as Villanova in that six-man role, he was finishing games and doing it well. They now have the Villanova brothers. That is correct. I think it was probably a little bit of an improvement from dropping Obi and picking up Dante DiVincenzo, but the Knicks still have bigger problems to fix. Dante DiVincenzo isn't going to turn this team into a championship contender.
And one of those things that could fix all the problems is getting a guy like Damian Lillard. And Damian Lillard is out there on the market right now, and I think the number one team in contention for them is the Miami Heat, or for him is the Miami Heat. And I think there's a lot of dark horses in that race as well, though, to get Lillard.
Yeah, a dark horse I'd like to mention is the San Antonio Spurs. They have a ton of young talent and assets to throw in there. And the thing that they don't have, or that they do have, that the Heat don't necessarily have, is the draft capital of the future. They have plenty of first-round picks, both their own and other teams, that they can throw in for the future to try and pair Damian Lillard with Victor Wembanyama, who they just selected first overall. And then I think the Clippers was the other big team that was trying to make a lot of noise. I know the Knicks' name was thrown in there. I don't think they're going to try to make a move for Lillard, but the Clippers did just re-sign Russell Westbrook to 2 years, $8 million. Their name has been floated around for a plethora of point guards, but I think ultimately they're going to try to run back same team, and I think that's a good decision because I think their team has talent to win it all. They just need to stay healthy.
And speaking of the team that did win it all last year, the Denver Nuggets, they lost Bruce Brown, a guy who was very, honestly, just a really big helper in the playoffs for them, getting to the finals, in the finals. And he's gone after it was confirmed at the time at their parade that he was going to be coming back. That's not the case. Bruce Brown is out.
Yeah, that's where depth becomes an issue, the biggest issue for the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, the talent's there. They just now it's really limited to Jeff Green and Christian Braun. That was a team that really used an 8-man lineup in the playoffs, especially deeper into the playoffs in the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. And now without Bruce Brown, it's going to put a lot more stress on Christian Braun. And Jeff he's getting up there in age, so I don't know how much longer he can do this for. So I'd expect them to try to go out and sign a couple more pieces. But I mean, if they can leave their starters in the whole game, like another team like the Suns is trying to do, picking up all these minimum guys on contracts. It's definitely interesting to see. A couple other Western Conference teams, the Warriors, that was a huge get, bringing back Draymond Green, 33 years, and then that fourth year has the player option, $100 million. That's exactly what we needed. He's really the glue guy. It's him, Steph, and Clay. Keeping them together was key. And then the Lakers, they brought in a plethora of guys. They got Gabe Vincent from the Heat, as well as re-signing Austin Reeves and a couple other big names as well.
And Chris Paul is now a Golden State Warrior after being traded a couple times, but I don't think he's going to be that big of a help to the Warriors, to be honest. I think their help needs to come from down low, and you're right, getting Draymond back is a necessary thing that I think they needed to do to make sure they're not sellers right now, and they're going to try to keep this and run it back, this core that they've had for a while. But at the same time, I think they really need to go out and get a big-time center, and that's where I think they're really lacking.
Well, yeah, size is obviously the issue in Golden State as it was this past year. But that's why you need to bring Draymond Green back because he does provide some size. I think Trace Jackson Davis is going to be a very helpful impact player. But I'm really disappointed to see that Brook Lopez signed a 2-year deal with the Bucks. I was hoping Mike Dunleavy Jr. was going to try and bring him in. I think that's what we really could have used. Somebody who stretches the floor but can also protect the rim. Another name that's been floated around is Karl Anthony Towns. As many people think, Minnesota Timberwolves just signed Naz Reid, and Rudy Gobert is untradeable right now, which leaves them with 3 centers on the roster, which could ultimately lead them, which a lot of people think is going to happen, to them moving on from Karl Anthony Towns. Now, I don't think we have the assets for that, but I would love to see something come through with that. And then I have to mention the ex-teammates in Brooklyn who just, they made a statement this free agency. Kyrie Irving coming back for 3 years to the Dallas Mavericks, or it was 2 or I think it was 3 years, and then James Harden picking up his player option, but with Philly. But it sounds like he wants out anyway.
Yeah, of course he wants out. That's how James Harden rolls. He's always with the team, then he thinks he loves them, and then he's out. So I don't know what you do if you're Philadelphia, because he did have some really big games in the postseason. He also had some duds. That's what you get with James Harden. That's what you get a lot of these players like Kyrie Irving as well. And I also don't really know why the Dallas Mavericks want him back after I felt like it was a failure attempt at like a loner player to try to like make a run in the Western Conference, and it just didn't work. You have a superstar already in Luka Doncic who carries the ball so much. Why do you need another guy that kind of does the same type of thing?
Yeah, I'm a little indifferent on the Kyrie Irving signing. I don't think that's necessarily what the Mavericks need. As you mentioned, they already have Luka Doncic, but they need more talent on that roster. And at the end of the day, that's what Kyrie Irving provides. If he can keep his head on straight, I think this Mavericks team is a team that will make the playoffs. I think they can avoid the play-in. They're definitely going to need some more size, and Luka's going to need some more help around him. But there's just been some guys that I don't think they're bad players by any means, but they've just been getting bags, and I've just been a little bit surprised to see a guy like Kyle Kuzma sign for 4 years, $102 million, or the money that a guy like Desmond Bane was able to get with the Grizzlies.
Right.
That was pretty insane. And even there's been other guys as well, like Jeremy Grant with the Portland Trailblazers. Like,
Cuse alum.
Sometimes I wonder.
One of the best college basketball players you could have. He was unbelievable, and I love seeing it. It's a great representation of Syracuse in the NBA too, as he is the best current player of a Cuse alum, and he got the bag. What was it? 5 years, 130.
It was 160.
160. Yeah, 160. That's big time from Jeremy Grant, and he's also a really good player though. He's been good. He's proven himself, and good for him.
Yeah, and then I just want to circle back to the Heat really quick. They lost both Gabe Vincent and Max Strus left as well, losing some of their main pieces, undrafted players that were really vital to their championship run. And that's the ultimate reason why I don't think Damian Lillard is going to end up in Miami, is because they just lost some of their key trading pieces. And you mentioned Spoelstra on the front office mentioned they don't want to let go of Tyler Hero. They want to keep him on the roster, and obviously they want to bring back Butler and Adebayo and keep them all together with Damian Lillard. And I just, at the end of the day, don't think that's possible, which is why I think Damian Lillard's going to find a different trade suitor, or they're going to have to introduce a 3-team, which I think became the really popular option in trying to send Tyler Hero somewhere else rather than Portland. But
where would the destination for Lillard be?
That's where I don't really know what third team would come into this trade to make it work, but Lillard said he wants out and he wants to go to Miami, so the Blazers said they're going to try to make that happen, but they said it's going to involve a 3-team deal most likely.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's going to be like a straight-up trade like that, especially if they're not willing to give up guys like Tyler Hero, and they've already gotten rid of a lot of their trade assets. It'd be kind of weird and murky to work something out at this point, but if you have another team involved, I could see it making both sides happy and make actually all 3 sides happy, but that's the big free agency news right now, and that's the big target, Damian Lillard. He's the biggest news that you got. He's a true superstar, been in Portland his whole career. We're going to see where he goes, but if he wants to go to Miami and he's paired up with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, they could be dangerous.
Yeah, and that could create an interesting scenario moving forward for the Trailblazers as well. Having Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, just extending Jeremy Grant. There's certainly some talent on that roster, but I think if they could bring in maybe someone like Hero and maybe add a couple more guys through that trade, I could like where their future is going. Maybe pick up, a couple more high draft picks. But at the end of the day, I think Lillard's loyalty just ran up, and he was just too frustrated that Portland wasn't able to make it work. They were going to the playoffs there for 5 years or so. They made a Western Conference final, but I think he knows that their timeline isn't fitting his timeline. So before next season, he's going to be wearing a different uniform.
And is that all that we have for NBA pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, obviously
would
there's
say
been
so.
plenty of guys signing, but
Yeah.
those were the biggest. So I guess we can move on to the MLB now, and what's been a crazy week.
Shohei Ohtani has 31 home runs right now, and
You
honestly,
still think he's not the MVP?
oh no, I didn't disagree with that. I'm just saying, if Aaron Judge was healthy, I think Aaron Judge would be the
No,
MVP.
oh my, no, he wouldn't.
Yes, if Aaron Judge had 40 home
Terrible
runs right
take.
now,
That's a terrible
what if
take.
he had 35 home runs right now?
I'd still take Otani because Judge doesn't pitch. I've said this many times before.
Yeah, well then you wouldn't have taken him last year when he hit 62, and you would have been wrong because everyone else took Judge. So
So that means that they're right just because there's more people. That's usually how
Well, he-
society
he
works.
won
Whatever
that-
more people think is always right.
well, he won the MVP last year, Garrett.
Yeah, that doesn't mean their opinion is right. Doesn't make it right.
Why is it not right? He had a higher WAR for a guy that has combined pitching and hitting.
I'm not completely disagreeing with you. I'm just your statement was that my opinion was wrong because a certain amount of people voted on him being MVP.
No, I'm saying that was part of it also, but the reason that they did that is
Well,
because he had a higher
They
WAR.
weren't gonna give it to Otani anyway because he'd already won it and he's gonna win it for like the next. They're not gonna give it to him for the next 5 years, but he should get it for the next 5
They're
years.
going to give it to him for the next. They're going to give it to him this year.
This year.
If he plays is the same way next year, then he'll get it next year.
Plays half the way he's playing right now. He's gonna get it this year. But
Whatever. He has 31 home runs. He's been great, but the Angels are still one of those teams that just can't really find themselves.
yeah, Otani could be finding himself. I don't think it's gonna be this deadline, but in the offseason, I think Otani's not gonna be an Angel anymore. Maybe Trout's gonna then try to move on, but the Angels are gonna need to turn around this year and make a run if they want to try to bring back Otani.
You know, a lot of people forget that the New York Yankees hasn't had an option to get Shohei Ohtani when he was coming over here to the U.S., but instead they looked to go get Giancarlo Stanton off his 59 home run season that he had in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a lot of things with Judge versus Ohtani. Like there's like a big divide between them, and you have to pick one side. They could have been on the same team, and that would have been something unbelievably crazy. But that wasn't the case. He could find his way back to New York, though, either for the Mets or the Yankees. You know, the Mets are big-time spenders now with a $350 million payroll, and it's not working out with them. I could see, we already talked about this last time, but Buck Showalter or Billy Epler are being gone after the end of the season if they keep playing this awful type of baseball. And if Steve Cohen's looking to get a guy that can do it all, like Ohtani, and is a dynamic player that's going to sell a lot of tickets, get a lot of jerseys on there, he's going to go do it. And the same thing could be said for Hal Steinbrenner. And I think that the two New Yorks, the Mets and the Yankees, high probability that that's a destination for Ohtani. But I also look at the Dodgers as another place where it could definitely happen. And I would honestly even just somewhat look at the Red Sox because they're a big market.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in the Red Sox. I'm going to stick to California. I think he's going to be playing in LA next year. Whether it is the Angels or the Dodgers, I think he's going to be playing for the Dodgers next season. But a team they left out is the San Francisco Giants, a team with a big budget who made a run at Aaron Judge this past offseason and wasn't able to get him. Could see something similar with Shohei Ohtani. But, Michael, I know you're a Yankees fan. I just wanted to run through what happened this week. The perfect game by Domingo Germán. I don't want to take any credit away from him, but it was against the Oakland Athletics. Sometimes they feel like a AAA team.
It's the 24th perfect game in MLB history, regardless of that. A lot of those games have been against bad teams as well. And this is another interesting fact since you opened the door, Garrett. 4 times in New York Yankee history there's been perfect games, including the one that Germán just pitched. All 3 other times it's been with guys that have the first letter of their first name as a D.
It's not that cool.
That's also, and then the other thing is the other times that it's happened, they've all won the World Series. So that's the thing that the Yankees have to live up to. They got to win the World Series after pitching a perfect game. But it was excellent to see. It's baseball history. You'll always remember where you were when you were watching that perfect game.
I don't remember.
Well, not you, but as a Yankee fan and as a fan of any team, if your team pitches a perfect game, you're going to remember it for the rest of your life. And it's a really cool thing to see a team rally behind, because that's what you need in this type of season where they've been without Aaron Judge, their superstar, who they rely on tremendously. They needed something to pull them up a little bit, get their hopes up, maybe make somewhat of a turning point. And I think that was the great point of the season by Domingo Herman to get it started and get it going.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it pulled them up. They went 3-3 against two last place teams, including one of the worst teams in the MLB this past week. So if the Yankees are trying to make a run, I don't think 3-3 against the A's and Cardinals is what they're looking for. But it was a cool, perfect game.
They went 1-2 against the Cardinals. They won the series against the A's. They went 2-1.
Yeah, that adds up.
Yeah, I understand, but
it's what's your point?
They lost the game. They didn't lose. You made it sound like they lost more games to the A's than they did to the Cardinals.
I said
the A's are a way worse team than the Cardinals.
Yeah, I agree. And I said two last place teams, and those are two last place teams.
The Cardinals have been bad, but they have talent. They have talent on their team, and Jordy Montgomery's pitching a lot better as well.
Well, the Mets have been bad, and they have talent on their team.
Yeah, Mets are leading the Giants right now still. I think so. No.
Oh, well, in the game, yeah, not in the overall standings. No. But an interesting stat that I heard about today is that the Phillies have been 19-6 in their last 25 games, and they've dropped 3 games to the Atlanta Braves.
Well, because they've been 22-3. Yeah, exactly.
In the last 25, it's ridiculous. But the Phillies,
I think 22-4 actually now, as updated maybe.
No, they beat the Marlins today.
Is it 22-3? Really?
Yeah, in their last 25.
Jeez.
If you're counting today, then they'd be 23-3. But watch out for the Phillies. They've been playing some good baseball recently, and you saw what happened last year when they got in that wild card. They made the World Series run, but it's hard to think of anyone else winning the NL except for the Braves right now. They were just clicking on all cylinders. You look at the All-Star voting; there's like a Brave in every single position.
They're the best team in baseball at the moment, and they've been the best team in baseball this year. I know the Tampa Bay Rays had a really great start to the season. The Atlanta Braves are just a way better team, and they have stars like Ronald Acuna, who has 20-plus home runs, 35 stolen bases before the All-Star break. That's really insane and incredible. I think it's the first time that's happened before the All-Star break since 1900. So what he's doing is crazy. Yeah, you could say it's because of the bigger bags, but regardless, he's on a tremendous start to the season. And at the halfway point, you got to be super happy if you're an Atlanta Braves fan. They've been, great as of late these past few years, winning the World Series now. You thought losing Freddie Freeman would be a disastrous type thing. He's still a great player in LA, but they're not missing him with Matt Olson hitting, close to 30 home runs now. I think he's at 28.
He's right on Ohtani's tail right now.
Yeah, so if you're an Atlanta Braves fan, you got to be super happy. There's a lot of these players that are just playing great baseball for you. And you've proven before in the past to make it to the World Series and make a run and win it all. So I think if you're a Braves fan, you gotta be looking at a World Series or bust this year, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's been a bounce back year for Ozzie Albies. Michael Harris has continued his great season. Orlando Arcia at shortstop, he's going to be an all-star. They're just doing this everywhere. Eddie Rosario has been a solid piece, and then the pitching's just been unbelievable. A guy like Spencer Strider leading the league in strikeouts. And it's hard to pick a weak spot in this Atlanta Braves team. And Michael, I just want to bring up, you mentioned the bigger bags. I think it's also the idea that pitchers can only disengage twice. If they do it a third time, they have to get them out as well. So you've seen a lot of guys, once they throw over twice, guys are sort of leaning. They know that
it doesn't happen a ton of times though. It's still kind of rare.
It's in the pitchers. It's in both the guy trying to steal and the pitcher's minds that they don't want to waste throwovers.
I think the pitch clock has something to do with it.
Yeah, and I think
you can time up when you're going to go.
Yeah, because we've seen stolen bases not only increase with Ronald Acuna, but all over the MLB. It's been fun to watch. I think stealing bases has really just brought the energy up in baseball all around. And there's more guys on base. There's more guys in scoring position now. And it's a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And another team that I think you got to look out for in the American League, on the opposite side of things, so we were just talking about the National League, it still is the Tampa Bay Rays, regardless of how they've been playing as of late, regardless of how they started off the season. This is a team that knows how to win, and they've proven it because they've had a great start. And they have a lead now in the American League East that is just kind of hard for teams to climb back out of. I think the Yankees are 9.5 back. The Orioles might be like around 4 or 5 back, right?
I think they're 5.5 back.
Yeah, 5 back.
They won today, and the Rays lost.
So those are hard leads to climb out of. I mean, there's still a chance for both of those teams to.
The Orioles have been floating between 4 and 7 games for 3 months now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. And then when that happens, it just makes it harder and harder for you to get back into it for the AL East or division title, because you can't climb that back out eventually when the time starts ticking down and there's less games to play in the season. You have no more room to climb. So that's the thing that I'd worry about with the Rays, and I think they really have a good chance this year in the AL. Now, for my Yankees, I will give them this the case right now. I feel a lot of the similarities between last year's Philadelphia Phillies team and this year's New York Yankees team, and I'll tell you why.
Except for the talent.
No, not for the talent. We have tremendous talent because we've had injuries dealing with this whole season. Aaron Judge is going to be coming back around the All-Star break, if not after the All-Star break. And we have Carlos Rodon, who's going to be coming back this coming week, actually. So if you have Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, if Luis Severino somehow gets it back, if Nestor Cortez can get it back, he's hurt right now too. And then you got Domingo Herman, who just pitched a perfect game. Clark Schmidt, who's been good. And you got Frankie Montas coming back in September. You're going to have
an 8-man rotation.
I'm just saying, you're going to have guys to put in the bullpen for the playoff games, and you're going to have a lot more faith. So that's where the Philadelphia Phillies came in last year. They caught heat at the right time, and if you stay yourself afloat, you don't float too far back, you stay in wild card contention. Once you get into the playoffs, it's a crapshoot, and any team that gets in can make it all the way, and that's what baseball has shown over the past few years. So if you're able to do that, and if you're the New York Yankees, that does have a tremendous roster when Aaron Judge is healthy and when all their superstars are healthy, like Garrett Cole, who's been a Cy Young candidate this year. You got to be happy. Their bullpen's been great this year, and they still have injuries that guys haven't come back from. Jonathan Loizaga, who is a great piece, has not pitched a lot this year. He got hurt. He'll be back, though, in September. So you got to stay afloat, and you got to stay in the wild card contention. You got to stay around with the Baltimore Orioles and the Houston Astros. You got to stay in those three teams because those are going to be your wild card teams. You stay in that, you're going to be feeling good. You could get hot at the right time, and they could give the Rays a run for their money. But I think the National League right now is kind of more dangerous than the American League, honestly, on that side.
Okay, Michael, you're just all over the place there. Michael's weekly Yankees rant finally got it out of the way. No one wants to listen to that. So finally, thank you for getting that out of the way.
What do you want to say?
I'd like to say a lot, mostly not about the Yankees, but the Phillies' offense was actually a lot better than the Yankees, and that's why they made the World Series.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that, but if you catch heat,
no, I was talking. You had your turn. There's a lot of what ifs in that statement. You listed about their whole pitching rotation and how everyone's the best ever, and you said that Aaron Judge is gonna offer 15 runs a game too. So that sounds great. But I thought you were gonna give my team some credit for once, but instead you went to the Rays. Feels like the Yankees are winning the whole league right now with the way you're talking, or at least that they're in second.
The Rays are the best team in the AL. I said the Rays are the best team in the AL.
You can talk when I'm done. You're acting like the Yankees are in second in the AL East, which they're not. There's a team in front of them who's about to sweep a 4-game series this week. But the AL East as a whole is very interesting. The Red Sox were able to climb back up to 500 today. The Blue Jays are a team that just cannot win division games. The Orioles are now 5-1 against the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox are 6-0 against the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are like 6 games above 500, and they're 1-11 against those two teams.
Yeah. So
the Blue Jays have been dominating out of division, but I don't know their exact records against the Yankees and Rays, but I imagine they're probably below 500.
They are, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, the Rays have been beating everyone, and it feels like the Yankees usually take care of business against the Blue Jays.
Always. But
the Blue Jays, they're sitting in that 4 spot, right behind the Yankees. I think it's only a game or two, not far back.
Check it.
But they're a team that they could definitely make a run, especially if they can avoid AL East opponents in the playoffs, because I think that's really their nemesis. But as it looks right now, the AL East might be getting all the wild card spots, although I do think the Astros are probably going to get one.
The Astros are going to get one. It's going to be, if my prediction right now is kind of where it is, like I said earlier, it's going to be the Astros, Yankees, and Orioles, I believe, in the wild card spots. That's what I think is the most probable cause for.
Thanks for your prediction.
Well,
yeah, I think I'll agree with you. It's hard to just knock the Astros. I honestly feel like the Astros are the favorite to win the AL right now. A team that you did not mention though, the Rangers are
they're
really hot. Yes, I will let you talk.
So the standings in the American League East, the Orioles are 5.5 games back. The Yankees are 9.5 back, and the Blue Jays are 11 back. So the Yankees are 1.5 ahead of the Blue Jays.
And the Red Sox are 15 back?
13.
So the Red Sox aren't that far back either, but I don't think they're going to make a run. They're too inconsistent right now. But the AL is shaping up for a really good wild card race, especially if the Angels can start to play some better baseball. The Guardians have been on the Twins' tail as of late. I know no one wants to watch AL Central baseball, but that is something to keep in mind the Twins and Guardians race there. The Rangers have
They're
cooled.
below 500.
Someone's gonna get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Rangers have cooled off as of late, but I was looking at the All-Star ballot, and it's like their whole infield is like in the running. Pretty salty that Jonah Heim got the star over Rutschman.
Rutschman's a
catcher
reserve
position.
today. They actually.
Yeah, I know. Rutschman, honestly, he kind of deserved to be a reserve. He has not been playing as good as he started. He's down below 270, and the power numbers have came down as well. I admit when my team's players aren't doing good, unlike you, who just thinks that everyone that's ever played for the Yankees is the greatest person ever.
When did I tell you they haven't been playing? I'll tell you he's not playing good right now. Do you want me to tell you he's
No,
not playing good
I
right now?
don't,
Okay,
because I don't want to talk about the
all right,
Yankees anymore.
I will, though.
But we'll give want to do World Series predictions as we come up on the All-Star break about halfway through.
I guess I can't do that though, Garrett, because you get mad when I predict things in the future. So
no, it's just when you talk about the Yankees for 15 minutes straight that no one wants to listen to. So I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna say Braves over Rangers right now.
Braves over Rays is what I'll give you.
All right.
It's chalk, but
yeah, the Rays are a team that I just feel like they try harder than everyone else in the regular season, and so that accumulates some more wins. Obviously, I know you think that it's kind of a joke that they try harder, but I just feel like the Rays are constantly locked in, and I feel like they just have a team that's built to succeed in the regular season because of how good they are, 1 through 9, and even their subs as well. But I think the Rangers have more talent. I think the Astros have more talent. The Yankees probably have more talent if they can get healthy, but
definitely have more talent.
Definitely, but half of it's on the sideline. So
exactly, that's why I told you in September if they catch heat, they could have a chance.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that could have a chance if they catch heat in September.
I agree. I was just not mentioning the Yankees.
Yeah, the Phillies and Padres both made runs last year out of the wild card.
Padres are too far behind. They're too far behind. They're too far behind.
Them and the Mets are kind of out of the run right now, but the Phillies have been playing really good baseball, and the Marlins might be in the playoffs as well. They're a team that they don't have the most talent in the world, but they have a feisty lineup.
Luis Arraez is a beast.
He's dropped below 390 recently.
Is Alcantara going to get back?
He's been back.
He's back now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sandy, he had a rough start to the season, but his last couple starts, he's been better. And then the Giants, a team on Sunday Night Baseball right now against the Mets. I don't think they'll make – I think the Dodgers are going to end up taking their spot in the postseason, but Dodgers are another team where they just got to get healthy. They're missing a lot of guys right now in their pitching rotation, and Tony Gonsolin hasn't been great as of late. But I think it's the Braves' National League to lose.
I agree. With the Braves playing, 23-3 baseball or 23-4, I think you can't go against them right now. They look like the best team. That's what the Padres need. That's what the Mets need. They need to go on a Atlanta Braves type run to get back into contention, because that just changes your whole type of season, and that really adds to your lead if you're the Atlanta Braves in the NL East, and that can help you secure spots in the playoffs, get a bye, and may possibly make a run to the World Series. And obviously we're both agreeing on that right now, that they are the best team in baseball by far.
Yeah, and I know we like to discredit the Central divisions as the teams are just – the records are a lot lower, but the Brewers and Reds are in a tight race right now with the Cubs not too far behind. I'm not going to take the Cardinals out of the picture either. You mentioned they have a lot of talent, and they just won a series against the Yankees.
They're so far behind, though.
They're not as far behind as you think. It's not
because their division's
yeah, exactly, because their division isn't great. But the Reds, they're young. They're an exciting team right now, led by Elly De La Cruz. Hopefully Joey Votto can start to play better, get back in the lineup.
Elly reminds me of O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
Both really fast.
Hopefully we can
very
see
powerful.
O'Neal Cruz make a great return next season, as he's out for the remainder of this year. But Elly De La Cruz he's one of those guys who I think he just needs to sustain the ups and downs of first cracking into the bigs. But after that, I think he'll be fine. He's just so electric in everything he does. And the Reds just have so much young talent, whether it's McLean, he's just been hitting great lately. Even guys like Stevenson have been stepping up, but their lineup's been really good. If Hunter Green's probably going to be out for a while, and a couple of their other young pitchers are going to be out, but Andrew Abbott stepped up in a huge way. He's been lights out, sub-3 ERA so far in his first 7 starts as a big leaguer. But if they can get the pitching together, I think they could make the playoffs over the Brewers in the NL Central.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, but it should be fun to watch all these races going in and out of the All-Star break. But the All-Star break is a fun time of baseball. Nice time to just reevaluate what your team's at and just watch the All-Star game. It's fun. But I think that's basically everything where we're at now in this middle part of the season. We're in the dog days of sports. It'll last until training camp really begins for the NFL, but that'll be in a few more weeks.
That's when everyone likes to make up storylines about the NFL.
That's when a lot of teams get a lot of hype.
Yeah, that's when
A lot of teams known as America's team.
Random news stories start to break that might not be that relevant, but as Americans, we love the NFL, and so we're gonna do whatever we can to hype it up.
And we love America's team. That's what will do it for Season 4, Episode 3 of the CR Sports Podcast. Thank you for listening, everybody.